Hi, my name is Rachel and welcome back to Auxhart Gardening. Today I am talking about planting onions. Specifically, I'm talking about the difference between onion sets, onion starts, and onion seeds, and how to decide which is best for you. Okay, so first we're going to talk about onion starts. Now that's exactly what it sounds like. It is an onion that has been started for you. Onions grow from seed, and a lot of times you'll find packs of starts in the store. And all this is an onion that was planted by somebody else, and you can see it was dug up, the tops were cut off, and it was shipped to me. The roots right now are bare and a little dry, and the onion will be okay like this for a couple of weeks or so before you put it into the ground. And a lot of places like this, if you're going to buy them online, will ship them at the specific time that you're supposed to be planting them. And these are great for most everybody can grow an onion from start. It's a great option if you don't have the room to plant your own onions from seed. And it's also a great option if you're a southern grower and you can't use onion sets. And I'll get into that in just a second. But basically, onion starts give you a head start on growing onions. All right, so second option is to grow from seed. You can see I've planted some onion seeds in this pack here, and I'm basically growing my own onion starts. You can start these indoors early, and you can start them in really close proximity to each other. And basically, if you have the room, if you have the grow lights, you can start your own onion starts. Now, some of you may not prefer to go this route because you might have trouble getting the onions to germinate, or you might not have the space to start growing indoors, and that's okay. You can go ahead and buy some onion starts, but this is a great option if you want to spend a little less money, if you want to start with seeds and you have the space to go ahead and start your own onion starts. All right, and the third way that you can plant onions is through onion sets. Now, an onion set is different from a start because this onion has had a little bit longer to grow. It was picked. You can see it doesn't have any roots left stuck to it. It looks just like a tiny onion, right? And so this is an onion that has been in storage mode for many months. It was picked young, and now it is ready for its second year of growing. So when you buy an onion set and you grow up that onion is in its second year of growing. And that's important because when an onion goes through its second year of growing, it is more likely to do things like bolt and send up flower stalks, because in their second year is when onions want to go to seed. Now, that's not necessarily inherently a really bad thing, and it's not a really overwhelming problem to have your onions more likely to bolt. You can easily just chop off the flower stems when you notice them coming up, and you can probably mitigate the effects of your onions wanting to bolt on you by doing things like that. I would say that the bigger issue with starting with sets, sets instead of starts, is that sets are always going to be long day onions. Okay, so long day onions, what do I mean by that? So onions are stimulated to bulb by the length of the day, by the number of hours of sunlight that they get. And so onions are categorized by how much sunlight they need in order for that bulbing to be triggered in the plant. A long day onion is going to require longer days to start bulbing than a short day onion or a medium day onion, as you'll sometimes find. And so what this means is that if you live up north, you're going to want to grow long day onions. Because of the way the earth is tilted, you guys are going to get longer days, more hours of sunlight at the peak of summer than somebody in the south. Here in the south, we have a roughly more consistent day length than you do up in the north, because your days get way shorter and your days get way longer. And so here in the southern United States, we have to grow short day onions because our days don't get long enough to trigger bulbing in long day onions. And this brings me to my frustration with the fact that I even have these right now. So I bought this box of onion sets from my local big box store. I won't go naming names, but you know, it's one of those places with a garden center and you can buy all sorts of plants and other things there. And I hadn't done my proper research into this before I went and bought them. I saw that I could get 100 onion sets for $4 and I was like, why not? I was already growing a few from seed, but I wasn't sure how well they were going to do. So I went and got these. And then I brought them home. I did my research. I realized that all of these that they sold me in a store here in the South are long day onions. And if I plant these here, they will grow. They will be beautiful spring onions, bunching onions, but they will never bulb up like they're supposed to. And I want to be clear that it's not just these particular onion sets that are long day onions. Every onion set that you buy has to be a long day onion, because long day onions are the only onions that will store long enough to be able to be saved as sets. So you're never going to be able to buy a short day onion set. And so while it's not a complete loss that I spent $4 on 100 spring onions, basically, I do find it very frustrating that this product is still available to me in an area where I'm never going to get the result that I'm expecting. A normal consumer is going to go in the store and buy this box of onions, and they're going to expect that they're going to get onions, like bulbed onions like are on the picture on the package, and they're going to be really disappointed when their onions don't bulb up. And the worst part is that they're going to blame themselves instead of the company that is selling them onions that will never bulb in their area. So that's my rant on onion sets in the South. Okay, so let's just quickly go over how to decide between all these options. Maybe you are up north, so you can grow long day onions, which means you can grow either onion starts or onion sets, or you could start from seed. How do you decide which direction to go? Or maybe you're a southern grower, you can only grow from onion starts, but you could also grow from seeds. And how do you decide which direction is better for you and your garden? Okay, so let's start with those of you that can choose from all three options. You could choose from sets, starts, or seeds. If you're in the north, you can grow your long day onions, and you have all these options available to you. So I think some of the factors you're going to have to consider is how many onions you're growing, what kind of space you're working with indoors, and what kind of time you have to put towards your garden. So if you are a casual home gardener who maybe doesn't have a lot of seed starting space indoors, I would recommend that you go with either starts or sets. Preferably starts. Starts are a little more expensive though. Starts are going to be, I got the same number of starts as I did sets for about 5 times as much. So I paid $20 for about 100 starts, whereas I paid $4 for 100 sets. And that can be a factor too. That's something that's maybe more of a factor the bigger your garden becomes. And so if you are a small scale home gardener like me, the difference between $4 and $20 for 100 onions isn't that big of a deal. But when you start scaling that up, that can be a very big deal. And especially if you are a big producer looking to make a profit, then minimizing your cost per onion is going to be very important. However, if you are at that scale, then you are probably set up to start from seed. And that is going to be the cheapest option because you can buy packs of seeds for $1 or $2 and start your seeds indoors and have it be so much cheaper. But again, it does take more time and it takes more room and it takes maybe a little bit more experience to baby the seedlings up and go ahead and separate them out and transplant them out. When you get this delivered to you, this is the easiest thing to just stick in the ground and it'll grow. Now, if you're a southern grower, you only have the 2 options, and a lot of the arguments are going to be the same. As long as you're making sure that you're buying short day onions instead of long day onions, then the choice is really yours. Again, you have to think about, do you want more convenience? Do you have the time and the space to start your own from seed to save the money? And that's the biggest decision there is to make. I recommend, if it's your very first year planting onions, just go with the starts, because you're probably going to have way more success and you're going to get that first boost of, ooh, I'm a good gardener, if you start with starts. And once you're good at starts, then you can work on starting from seed, which is basically growing your own starts. So that's my recommendation. Of course, do what you think is best for yourself. All right, and that is my spiel about onions for the day. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I wish you happy gardening.